Hello, Naveen. It is experiential learning.
Okay, sir, I'll correct it. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. So the speakers are available for a presentation. So I welcome everyone for the afternoon session. That is the third session. So the third session is on experiential learning through digital manufacturing. Dr. Prithviraj U, Assistant Professor, Department of Water Resource and Ocean Engineering at NITK Surathkal. So he is available here. So I request Prashant sir, Assistant Professor from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, to welcome Prithviraj sir for this session. Over to Prashant Kamal sir.
Thank you, Naveen sir. Resource person for this session is Dr. Prithviraj Umesh. He is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Water Resource and Ocean Engineering in NITK Surathkal from 2007. Sir has done his education in multidisciplinary stream in BE Civil Engineering from NITK Surathkal in 2002. He has done MTech in Structural Engineering in 2005 and PhD in Wind Engineering in 2015. Sir has done research projects where he was taken as a co-investigator in flow characteristic and pollutant dispersion around building. He is also lab coordinator for the virtual laboratory strength of material and fluid mechanics. He is a principal investigator, for simulation and environment pile head breakwater for the mitigation of coastal erosion. Sir has a high knowledge in technical skills of C, C++, Python, MATLAB, ANSYS, Raspberry, Arduino, and many more. Sir has been awarded for a best paper in ICOE 2018 in the International Conference on Ocean Engineering held at IIT Madras, India. He has been also honored for as a faculty mentor for NDRF Innovative Technology Contest Conference held at Bangalore in 2009, DRDO Golden Jubilee Student Competition 2009 as a faculty mentor, which is held at Bangalore. Sir has the handling 24 projects with 500 lakh and 69 total conferences. Publication in conferences are 69, and product development project mentored is 19. Consultancy project he has held 6, which is a worth of 32 lakhs. Sir has the research interest in wave structure interaction, open source product development, wildlife conservation, and many other fields. The sir has also visited USA, Japan, Netherlands, Germany, Oman. We are lucky enough to have him as a resource person. DP. On welcome you, sir, and you can start your session, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Is my screen visible to all of you? Yeah.
Yes,
And
sir.
also the my video, because you may have to pin my screen also in between, because we will be showing some of the live demo, and others can switch off their mics so that yeah, so there'll be no echo that is happening. So in any moment of time, suppose if there is a voice breakage or there's a link in the internet connection, please let me know. So I'll be supported by 5 project staffs who are working with us as a MTech by research or doing their PhD to demo on the topics that we are going to discuss. So let me move on to this slide. So wherein which we say what is experiential learning and how we have used it for digital manufacturing. So what we will do is basically focus on these areas, prime areas, wherein which we will see how an terrain modeling can be done, how that can be used into printing. So basically, I will not go into the details of the printing technologies. In fact, I'll be showcasing what is the end product, whichever discipline the student is, whether he is from medical, whether he is from civil engineering, or maybe mechanical or mechatronics related, is going to use and experience the digital manufacturing onto his stream. Because you will have sufficient session regarding the additive manufacturing, the different techniques and other things. So we will showcase over here the terrain modeling, and then we'll move on to how the 3D fencing facility at the Center for System Design Analytics Sirathkal was converted from R&D facility into a fabrication setup, continuously doing the face sheets and face masks. then how it was used for medical, virtual reality, and PyTrap as another session, and then on to e-mobility, maybe drones, e-cycles, and other things. So we'll go one by one, wherein which how does a student experience what is learning and do a transdisciplinary projects and then move forward. So let us go into a typical example of an end user is a civil engineering student or an MTech student in remote sensing and GIS, or uh, maybe a student who is into the planning and development, construction technologies and other things. So if you see the screen, which I'm showcasing over here, you can see the webcam that what I am streaming. So can you see this image over here? If anybody
Yes,
can
sir.
view,
Yes, sir. Yes,
so you can see over
sir.
here, there's a completely 3D printed image, completely 3D printed image, and you can see the civilian. It is a area in Jammu, and you can see the buildings. You can see the powder coated that is there over here, and same color. Basically, this is an multi-jet color from the images that we have captured from the drone. N number of images, and created something like this in a 3D printing image. So this is what it looks at the bottom. It's an powder coated. We'll showcase what the machine is, how it has been used, and how it has been used for experiential learning for the group of remote sensing, civil engineering, construction management, and also the CPWD engineers of that particular locations. So I'll switch off my camera so that we can go and see. Let us go on to the first screen, what this data is basically. So I'll just share this particular screen over here. If you see, you can see a Google Earth image right somewhere over here. And if I try to zoom, I will get a very detailed image. So this is basically joining multiple number of images, around 270, 276 images that are joined together to get an high resolution image. So that is been converted into a 3D. So suppose if I try to give an elevation map, automatically the elevation gets loaded. So what we have done, we have taken multiple number of images and then joined it together, and that there are multiple softwares which can help you to drawing, and all those images are being used to get elevation. And you can see over here what is the tallest structure, where is the road that's going to Srinagar from Jammu, what are the elevations, where the hillocks are there, all those things. Now that has been given onto the 3D printing facility that is there, and from there we have got an 3D structure. So first, if you see over here very clearly, you can see an excavator that is trying to excavate, and then if you see the 3D printed model also, I'll just showcase that. If you see the 3D printed model, that same depth over here, you can see the same depth over here is visible, and the JCB can be visible, the volume can be. So that is a precision in which the printers work, and we don't paint it, whereas the printer prints the final CMYK onto it and gives us the end results. So what we did, end product was for an group of doing construction management, GIS and other things, but we have used additive manufacturing or the 3D printing facilities that is there in our to purchase to our project center for and hosted at Center for System Design. So my staff will brief you through the setup of how that thing is there. So just we'll move on uh, to this screen. So if you go to the next slide, so this is exactly the 3D printing, how it the setups that we have. Now let me showcase it. So this is the colored models. If you see over here, so different colors have been printed onto this cube, and maybe you can see a spring kind of thing that has happened. So we have used HP Multijet 580 printer. So you can see over here the different hole patterns that have been there in an inclined pattern, and its precision that is there. You can see the holes that is being clearly visible. You can also see the springs kind of thing that can be done, and also over here, the fine precision threads that is there. So this is a powder-based 3D printing, that facility that I'm trying to showcase with an multi-jet color. So now, of course, we will. You can always see what is a model and go to this YouTube channel and try to see its capabilities on how that printing happens. So what we will do is we'll just showcase how it is being used and where it can be used. One of my staff, Mr. Ranjan, will activate the screen. Over to you, Ranjan.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Can you see my screen on my webcam?
Yes,
Ranjan.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is our HP 3D multi-jet fusion printer. It's a 580 color 3D printer, mainly used for prototyping and others. And you can see this is our main dash cam where we can operate several jobs we want, and also we can do the machine maintenance here. And if I open this bed, this is a main bed where the 3D printing is being done. As you can see, it is 330 by 150 bed, which height is 330 also. So you can do multiple 3D parts in a single go. So you can pack different parts here, and also here this part is where you are entering the powders for the 3D print. It is called 3D head, and if you lift the display, this is the headlamp. This is where the thermal lamp goes over a 3D printer, which combines different 3D powder material agents like bright fusing and detailing agent, which makes the 3D part basically. So if I open below to my left, you can see two canisters. One is the pure fresh material used for the 3D printer, and another one is a recycled material. Like after you use your 3D printing, after your job is done, the remaining material is being recycled and can be reused again, so that you do not have to use fresh material once you start on a new job. Also, if you go to the right, you can see the cartridges. You can see YMC, that is our different 3D coloring agents, and also the detailing agent and the black agent, and also the bright fusing agent, which on activation on heat lamp will make the 3D part harder. So this is the main setup of our 3D printer of the HP. And yeah, so I think I have covered all the parts available in the 3D printer.
Yeah, Ranjan, you can unshare so that I can take over.
Yes, okay, sir.
Yeah, so you would have seen the printing setup that was there. That is HP multi-jet fuels. It's about 1.5 crore setup that we got to the project along with Professor Gangadharan, where in which we'll be able to give an high detailed 3D printing facility at our desk, and it will be helpful. Of course, the way in which it is doing the 3D printing, all those things maybe will be discussed with you by different speakers. So what I am trying to do is directly showcase the end results and how that we are going to do. So now let me showcase one of the another product that you can see over here. You can see here, basically there is, can anyone guess what is this particular model? Maybe you have something like over here, you have different color over here, you have some structures that are there. It's very prominent next to our campus or being in the coastal belt. So this is an, is my voice audible? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the beach, basically. Hope my screen is visible to all. That is the webcam feed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So Here you can see the beach that is there. So this was one of the part for the coastal erosion study for the Karnataka Research Engineering Station, wherein which they wanted to do a study on how the 3D modeling can be done, how they can do the desk study for that. So we'll go on to that particular video, which showcases using this work, how is the database set been occurred, captured, and how we are able to do it.
ಇವಾಗ KR ಸಾಗರದಿಂದ ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್
Yeah, so I'll just share the screen.
ನಾವು ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಹೊನ್ನಾವರ ತಾಲೂಕಿನ ತೊಪ್ಪಲ್ಕೇರಿ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೆದ 2-3 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮುದ್ರ ಕೊರೆತ ಸಂಭವಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದು ಇದೊಂದು ಎಸ್ಚುರಿ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಎಸ್ಚುರಿಯ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಎಂಡ್ಗೆ ಪಾವಿನ ಕೊರವೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸೈಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದು ಸಿ ಎರೋಷನ್ ಸೈಟು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಎಸ್ಚುರಿಯ ಸದರನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪೋರ್ಟ್ನಿಂದ ದಕ್ಷಿಣಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಸರಗೋಡು ಟೊಂಕ ಅಂತಿದೆ, ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಎರೋಷನ್ ಸೈಟು. ಈ ಎರಡೂ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಲ್ಲಿ KERS ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಬೀಚ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೈಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಕಾರ್ಯನ ಡ್ರೋನ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನಡೆಸಿ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಂಗ್ರಹಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಳಿವೆ ಎಸ್ಚುರಿ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಉಪವಿಭಾಗ KR ಸಾಗರದಿಂದ ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಾಯಿತು. ಈ ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ನಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಭಾವನೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠಿತ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಾದ NITK ಸೂರತ್ಕಲ್ ಇವರ ಸಹಯೋಗದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಶೋರ್ಲೈನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್, ಈ ಒಂದು ಎಸ್ಚುರಿ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಶೋರ್ಲೈನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಒಂದು ಅಧ್ಯಯನವನ್ನ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಬಂದು ಅವರ ಸಹಯೋಗದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಧ್ಯಯನನ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
So the main objective of over here me showcasing this small thing was how do we get data sets, and how an group of civil engineers from the coastal engineering division of government employees from Karnataka Research Station can actually use the data set and then use it in their best coastal erosion protection measures. So now what objective was to do a drone survey and get the 3-dimensional data sets onto it, do an historical timeline study by using satellite data sets, give onto our 3D printers and try to model it such that we will be able to know how it has been changed and how it can be explained physically with the model setups, and also this will also help
ಹೊನ್ನಾವರ ತಾಲೂಕಿನ ಕರ್ಕಿ ಗ್ರಾಮದ ತೊಪ್ಪಲ್ಕೇರಿ ಮಜರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು
in basically doing the physical model studies. It's not only for showcasing for architectural view, but also for showcasing the physical study that can be done. So you can see one of the villages. Of course, most of you are from coastal belt. You know what happens in Bengre, Ullala, and this is at near North Karnataka. So you can see the entire well is been washed away. It's filled with sand. No more water is there.
ಬಡವಂತ ಕುಟುಂಬದವರು ಕೃಷಿ ಕೂಲಿಕಾರರು ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದು ಅತಿ ಅವಶ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಸಫಲ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಶೆ ಇದೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದನ್ನ ವೀಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮಗೆ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಇದನ್ನ.
So this is the well portion wherein which the entire filled with sand. You can see all the trees, some of the trees have been uprooted, all those things. So what we did was we basically, I'll just push forward. We used drone, and also we used the RTK drones so that we can get centimeter level accuracy. That is more important because when you are giving data to the digital elevation model to the 3D printers, the scaling should be perfect, the elevation difference should be perfect, the sand dunes formation should be perfect, the high tide line, the low tide line should be perfectly marked, so that the research for the end user is up to the mark. So we had to use the best in class technologies that will help us to experience the 3D level 3D technologies and showcase them the best that what we can do. Of course, the existing ready-made drones was used to get this information, and finally it was used to integrate the data sets. So you can see over here the photogrammetry portion. So how do we stitch multiple number of images? So we use the proprietary softwares, and also we have open source softwares wherein which we can do photogrammetry and stitch all those images to get the best informations and get the digital elevation model. So that was how we were able to do such kind of things and get the final result. So I'll just stop this and share the screen. Yeah. So what did we do? Basically, we used the input that is there from the drones, put it to our 3D printers, which can get high precision data with the same multicolor and identify it. Now the question comes, what would have happened if it was only a monocolor or something like that? Basically, if you see over here, I have a 3D printed model. So this is basically an IITK boys hostel, where in which the 3D printer was FDM and it was monocolor. If you see this, it has printed only single color onto it, and there's no difference in window color, solar panels, and other things. Whereas if you take this 3D printer output, it is very clearly visible that how the solar panels are there, what is the color, what is the vehicle color, what is the shade that is been given. So it is printing the true color as possible, including the in the lawn, if they have written IIT Jammu, so that is also been visible. So such kind of studies was done for Indian Army, and to identify the enemy territories. You would have seen in multiple movies on how they make sandbags and showcase to the soldiers where how the enemy territory is. Nowadays, the technology has gone much ahead. We can get information from satellite, or we can get the drone survey results and integrate it and try to give the best true color information to our soldiers, so they can prepare and take the best path onto the to protect our own territory. So, so these were some of the things that we could have I have showcased you regarding the applications of aerial images onto the 3D printing technologies for the experiential learning. Now, what else results can be used? So here, if you see, you have a typical terrestrial scanner. So the terrestrial scanner is basically used for scanning the entire thing. So it can be mounted onto the drone, or it can be mounted onto the tripod, and we can scan. So what is the use? Basically, this devices digitizes the data sets. So how the photogrammetry we used to do by digitizing it. So similarly, to create a 3D map and other things, what we do is we use a LiDAR over here. My staff, Mr. Vishwas, who is also doing M.Tech research on this particular topic, will showcase how a sample data set of LiDAR can be done. Vishwas?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Can you share the...
Good afternoon. Hello, sir.
Yeah, audible.
Hello. Okay. So we have the device over here, which is LiDAR. So I'll be showing this. So I think the device is visible in the camera. So you can pin the camera for more information. Okay. So this is a Faro GPTS. So this has a capacity of like up to 1 million you can scan. So okay. So here you can see the optics and the lens over here. The camera will be rotating, and from the inside there will be much pulses up to 1 million per second will be there, and the settings can be changed manually. So for example, I'll just show a small scan how the device will be working. Then later to the laptop and I'll be showing scan data of the entire book. So that I have done previously, so that it can be seen. Normally, some time will be taken to register that. So in this, what we have to do is we have to manually calibrate water level of the device. So we can do this because this has an inclinometer, so we can adjust this. Once we are done with that, we can change the parameters. So there are different parameters for indoor, outdoor, and for long range up to 300 meters. So all the parameters can be chosen, and the density of the scan can be chosen. Once we done that, so we already get the data, and we can start the scan. So you'll be able to see the device itself will start moving, and the lens will start rotating and start scanning. So for the time being, I have kept for the shortest scanning duration. So it will take around 3 minutes. So what it will do is, for the first round, it will take all the points in monochromatic. Once it takes all the points, it starts taking images in the 360 degrees, and it starts merging the images so that each point will get color. So we'll get a color point. So there are several applications. The same device can be mounted to a drone, or it can be mounted inward also. Depends on our application, we can use it on our convenience. So right now it is taking pictures in 360 degrees. So it will take several images and combine it into a single panorama 360.
So basically this setup, what it is trying to do is capture the three-dimensional data sets. So there will be LiDAR and also it is clubbing the photogrammetry also. So that gives us every point that it is getting captured, onto which it is adding a color. To get the color, you should have an RGB camera, so which will add a texture onto the thing. So now you can see the camera is moving slowly. Earlier it was very fast. Now it goes stage by stage, takes 360 images in that particular plane, and then try to do a 360 degree pano onto it. So this entire setup that we have built was totally, when we combined, it was around 2.5 crores. Very precise thing, wherein which we'll be able to get and very accurate data sets. It can be used for volume estimations in mines and geology. It can be used for quarry owners. It can be used for terrain mapping, especially for landslides. And that can be directly inputted into a 3D printing facilities, and the entire terrain can be mapped so that we can get the best of the best informations. Especially, it will help us to create a virtual reality data sets. Over to you, Vishwas. You can share the screen once the data set has been completed.
Yes, sir. The scanning is complete now, but I have already pre-processed the data, scanning it before, so that we can save some time. So I'll be sharing the screen. There you go.
When this device is been mounted onto the drone, so it will be only capturing the data sets only in one particular plane.
Sir, my screen is visible, right, sir?
Yeah, screen is visible. You can switch off your camera for bandwidth.
Okay, sir.
Can take
This is the captured data. So for sir,
yeah, go ahead.
this is the captured data. So I have done some 3 to 4 scans inside this room before, and I have merged this. So what you are seeing is the scan which is taken from the inside, but it looks like it's from the outside. So when we go inside the room, so this is how it looks. So this is a complete picture what we have scanned from the inside the room. So you can see this is the position where the LiDAR was initially kept, and this is the second position where the LiDAR second scan. Similarly, this is the place where I was sitting and I'm explaining over here. So I have done around 4 scans. So these are the remote triggering devices and apparatus what we have done for virtual lab. So this is how the data can be viewed. And there are several applications. So including crime scene investigation, terrain mapping, and volume estimation and other etc. So the complete picture of the room can be made. So by doing more and more scan and by merging them, so we get a better picture and better quality also. So this is one. So we can mesh this also. We can make a mesh and we can get the 3D model out of it, which will be colored point cloud, colored OBJ files. So that can be printed even in our Jet Fusion HP printers, or we can also use STL based printers such as MakerBot or any other, etc.
So now if you see what is the importance of this kind of thing, so you can see it's not only an image that has been created in a panorama. Basically, I'll be able to get the depth informations. I'll be able to get what are the texture onto it. Suppose when I give the colored printout out of it, the table color will be visible, and also the mouse pads used, the camera color, all this information can be regenerated in the printer. Of course, we have to use a third-party software once again to converting all these point clouds into a three-dimensional mesh, and which will be able to give a solid surface. We will move on to the next. So now this is a data set which can be given. So this is very precise data sets which can go into digital manufacturing and also can be used for re-engineering some of these products. So I'll move on to the next topic, wherein which handheld LiDARs, how that can be used, and what is the type of data sets that can be used for capturing the data set. So let me just share the screen. Yeah, so now you can see and I hope the screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is where in which we are using a handheld data scanners to get in three-dimensional data sets, wherein which students can do some of the reverse engineering, or maybe there's an archaeology sites that needs to be captured data set. So why this kind of scanning is required? Especially, basically, assume that there is a natural disaster, and you have the structure has been damaged. You need to recreate it. So if you want to recreate it, you should have a digital data sets. Maybe nowadays you have the CAD modeling, you have an architectural modeling and all those things. How do you get the three-dimensional data sets to it? You can use drones, you can use terrestrial lidars, and in some places where in which terrestrial lidars cannot be used or drone lidars can't be used, you can use these kind of handheld scanners, which will go on to the digital manufacturing. So now, so this is how we are trying to cover how completely to do a digital manufacturing, what are the assets that we can get it and involve and then try to solve. Vishwas, over to you. Yes, it is one question was asked, was it used for oil and gas? Perfectly. We are extensively using it in oil and gas fleets to recreate the entire plant. One of the refinery plant is been scanned by using this device. What we have done is we have recreated the model and then we have integrated with virtual reality. Basically, a trainee spends months together going place to place. Of course, that is that is required. But what happens is the virtual reality sets will give him a three-dimensional feel. He can use this data, he can operate the walls, he can feel where all those plants are. Over to you, Vishwas.
So I think the device is visible now for you. So I'll also share my screen. So this device has some two parts. So you can see the light blinking over here. So it's trying to scan by emitting some pulses. Is it visible? So there are three parts over here. One is the what we do is you get the point. So hello, am I audible?
Yes, audible. No issues.
Yeah. So what happens is this device can be used for scanning the things. Vishwas, you can show that model and scan and share the results.
Okay, sir. So the video is lagging. So anyway, the device has three parts. One is the camera part, and the camera for taking the pictures, which is along with the scanning time, and there's the optics. So I assume my screen is visible. I'm sharing it. So we have already shared some like scanned some models.
Vishwas, you can unshare your camera so that the bandwidth it can reduce.
So this is a scan model of an IC engine, which was there in our IC engine lab. So right now, what you can see is a monochromatic colored image, because right now it is not registered. So once the complete registration is done, so you can see the colored image and all the 3D model. So that will be showing. So this is the 3D model of the same IC engine after the registration. So the whatever I showed the previous one as the raw data. So by scanning properly, you'll be able to measure all the distance, all the diameters, and mainly you can do reverse engineering. So when we have an object, see, we want to know the precise dimension. So if you preserve the data by digitally, we can be anywhere. We don't need to be near to the machine to measure the data. So we can take the data with us. So we can go to anywhere, and whenever we want to see the data or we want to measure whatever the data we required, so we can do it like using our computer. Instead of manually measuring, this will be very helpful. So even volume and height measuring, and the accuracy is around millimeters, because the scan can be done multiple times. So that will be helpful.
In a mobile code off ಮಾಡಿ off ಮಾಡಿ.
So we have also done some scans. So for example, this was the face scan done of one of our staff. So this was the result what we have got. So by doing complete scans, we were able to get the 3D model out of it, and we can also print it. So this is the one of the like dustbin. So this is a mesh. what we have got. So extra part and can be filled in the same software.
Thank you, Vishwas. And um, I'll
So
be.
the leader is handled. Sir.
Yeah, you proceed.
So this is one more data. We have scanned a carom board with a bottle. So since we didn't scan the bottom part, so some parts are missing. So above parts can be seen clearly. The proper registration, we will be able to get the proper data. So for example, I want to measure the length of this board. So I can click. The registration is not complete, and that's why it is not allowing us to measure the data. So this is about a handheld scanner. So
Yeah, thank you, Vishwas. You can unshare so that we can start the other thing, how data sets can be done, and then. So do you use different type of scanners as per the plant? Yes, basically with that, there are multiple scanner sets that we have used. So that can be used for refineries, what precision we want. So based on that, we will be changing our scanners. I hope it has answered your question. Now, how a student doing an MTech can do some advanced research so that he will be able to perform better. So how he can experience into 3D printing and how we can get the things up and run moving. So I hope my screen is visible, wherein which we are trying to showcase the sandwiching between the experimental investigation between the 3D printing and the MR sandwiched beam. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So, yeah. So I'll go on to one of the video, which showcases on how this experiment has been done.
Conventional structures are replaced by sandwich structures in order to make the system light in weight. But at the resonance condition, these structures tend to collapse.
So you can see how a student for his MTech work, his name is Rohit Rajpal. So he had received the patent
this problem.
on this work.
Magnetoreological elastomer, that is MRE, is embedded into the sandwich structures such that stiffness of the sandwich structures can be changed under the influence of magnetic field.
So what we do is, so there's a 3D printed part. So there are honeycomb structures onto it. So he fills the fluids onto it. So when it gets magnetized, the stiffness parameters gets changed. So you can arrest some of the vibrations if required. So the 3D printing was paused. On it, again 3D printing layer comes. So now you can see so you can see the vibrations that are there. Now when he is powering up the electromagnetic field, you can see it has been arrested because the fluid inside the 3D printed beam activates, and we will be able to change the stiffness of it.
This innovative technique helps to avoid the failure occurring at resonance conditions.
Yeah. So basically, so this thing was actually useful. How we can integrate and how students can do the experiments and add some new techniques. So this Mr. Rajpal had received the patent for his work, Indian patent. He was guided under Professor K.V. Gangadhan. So that setup was done in our lab, the Center for System Design, where an FDM 3D printer was used to print it. So, so this is how a student really experience and adds an value onto it, and then tries to do some new innovative projects, so that can give him edge over the others. So now there's another small 3D printed work, where in which one of our staff had done it. It was awarded as a Boeing project, so they had been awarded around are there, and it's a very distinct thing. Suppose if you have seen um, the movie called Jungle Book, there is a character called Baloo. So if you see, it eats and then it has an option, it has an provision, like it goes on a nap, small nap. So here also it's same thing. It's a Bellari, wherein which it is very hot. So what it does is it uses your front two feet to put the dry leaves onto it and make like a small bed and take a rest after getting some food. Then again, after some minutes, it comes out and you can see all these dry leaves on his back. Very clearly distinct behavior of a sloth bear, and which can be visible. So how it was done, basically completely open source technique was used. Is the same student and staff, Mr. Rajat Rajpal, who was there in the previous video. And the 3D printer, you can see it's an open source 3D printer, and open source Python scripting was done to activate the PIR sensors, and Python programming was done. And of course, it has to be spray painted so that it gets camouflaged in the forest or wherever it is being kept. Along with me, there was our mentor, Mr. Dr. Samad Kotur, who was being awarded Asamanya Kannadiga for all his works. And of course, the way in which the positioning has to be done, so that we will be able to capture the camera at the right positions, and then we'll be able to capture whether it's a tiger or leopard or elephant, what is that we want to capture. Based on that, we'll be able to do it. So getting back onto the topic wherein which, so you would have seen right from UAVs that was gone input into 3D printing and additive manufacturing, then using simple 3D printings, not an high end, how to create an award-winning projects. From there, how to do an project that is really useful. The cost of the ready-made camera trap was around something like 45,000, whereas this device is less than 15K, because Raspberry costs something like 3,500, and 3D printing spool can be done by a desktop 3D printer and a spray paint and small IR sensors. And of course, Python scripting, you can program the way you want. The timers can be added, the logo marks of the first departments can be added, all those things. So finally, we were able to get a very qualitative research on the tiger map in the Kudramaka Wildlife Divisions, the heat maps, the critically endangered species were identified, and it was highly appreciated, and students were able to perform better onto it. So now, so the question comes like, is this the only way to do? Of course, I'll not go into too detailed of manufacturing the 3D filaments. Maybe in one of the topic may be covered, but I'll showcase how the NITK students were able to actually capture the waste and then try to make some spools, make some keychains from all the waste that is there in the NITK beaches and beaches nearby. So basically, this was a group from Incident. Incident is a cultural festival, and it has one social responsibility called as eye care, incident care. So you can see the lot of plastics that have been there in the shape of eye, and the bunch of students who volunteered for this event. Let's see what was their objective and how they were able to use those waste plastics to create an spool or a keychain or whatever it is.
Annual cultural festival. It is regarded as South India's second biggest festival. Team Eye Care is under Team Incident, which undertakes social and environmental activities.
So you can see here,
So as a
students
part
are
of our eye care
collecting the
environment
plastics.
initiative, we went
So-
around the beaches of NITK.
So they
and
collected
we
the plastics, and then they made a small desktop.
for our desktop size in-house built plastic recycling unit.
So of course, these were the things that were they have taken from the scrapyard, painted it. So you can see the motor from a junk, it was been collected, welded it to form the shredders, and it was laser cutting shedding unit. The templates was been designed and done so that they can shed the plastics. Of course, lot of improvements have been required to improvise and get consistency in the 3D printing facilities. But what we are proud is how students are using what they have learned in their theory portions onto their topic, and then create at least half a spool of plastic elements that can be used for 3D printing, or make an inject mold onto a digital manufacturing and get a keychain back to the society. So of course, GTTC Baikampadhi was helpful in fabricating some of the devices. So you can see one of the mold that was done by using CNC machines.
And something which everyone would buy and love. One of the several ideas we got was the keychain.
So this is the inject mold. So similarly, the extruded filament also comes in that same way. So here I'm showcasing how a keychain is being made.
Cylindrical heater is aligned to the mold, and then the plastic is injected.
So you can see the mold from the mold and the negative dye, how they are able to get that heated thing. So similar, as I said, the filaments also was being done. So this was where they were able to generate. So many useful products, something like keychains, pen holders, spools, that can be used for 3D printing so have been used. Of course, revisions are there, corrections needs to be there, because sometimes the filaments get break because of being brittle. Of course, what they have learned and then what they are doing was something that needs to be appreciated, and that is how it was moving forward. So next comes how NITK was coping up with COVID and how they were able to proceed further with all these things. So one of the typical is fabrication of parts, something like this. So you can see over here, there is 3D ventilator splitters. Professor Gangadharan was also in the national team. Of course, it was not being used extensively because that stage never came, and these mask parts, different varieties was being 3D printed, and around 32 lakh worth the setup was given by Stratasys to us to develop this during what was there in Bangalore, so that we will be able to run these machines 24/7. So this was one of the major outcome wherein which our lab got converted from an R&D center into an manufacturing setup continuously. So this lab was, I'm proud to say, that was never shut down during the COVID time. So this is a small video clip that was there
ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು
in Doordarshan
ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರಕವಾದ ಸಾಧನ ಸಲಕರಣೆಗಳ ತಯಾರಿಕೆಗೆ ಮುಂದಾಗಿದೆ. ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಡಳಿತದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಕೈಜೋಡಿಸಿ ಜನಸಂಪರ್ಕ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿರುವ ಕಾಯಕದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿರುವ ಪೊಲೀಸರು, ಭದ್ರತಾ ಪಡೆ ಮೊದಲಾದವರಿಗೆ
So you can see the U-Print 3D printer, the regular 3D printing facilities, the maker board setups, and Professor Gangadharan, who is the head of the center, who was in this basic AMUBAC kind of thing. So you can see the cartridge-based 3D printing facilities. Remember, now all those factories and other things have been come up, but during the peak time, none of the refineries or the factories were running. So the negative mold they were not able to fabricate. So the 3D printing facility, even though it is very expensive, was used extensively, and we got donations near to 18 lakhs, and around more than 22,000 face shields was fabricated by using different manufacturing setups that we have in NITK.
ಫೇಸ್ ಶೀಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈಗ 3 ಐಟಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈಗ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಇಂದ NITK
ಸಹಾಯಕ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪೃಥ್ವಿರಾಜ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನನಿಬಿಡ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯತೆ ಇರುವವರಿಗೆ ಫೇಸ್ ಶೀಲ್ಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ ಎಂದು ವಿವರಿಸಿದರು.
And this was done as our part of Center for the Social Responsibility. Not a single rupee was being charged. The entire Center for Systems and Staffs, when the lockdown was removed, staffs came down and they were helping us to assemble. Initially, we were only the team of 4 who are running this show. But once the lockdown was broken, the entire team came geared up and was distributed right from Delhi to Kerala. ONGC OMPL was kind enough for us to give a huge amount for the materials, and that is how we were able to perform better. So that was Deputy Director Anant Narayan. So what I want to showcase over here is how a basic 3D printing facility that can be used to showcase our setup. Now let me just go back on to it. So if you see the screen of the U-Print before a small video, how that was being finally gone to the end user.
ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ಗಳು ದಿನಾಲೂ ಒಂದು 100-150 ಜನ
So the main thing was during the COVID time, how our retail manufacturing setups was used to give the best and perform better. As I said, convert that an R&D facility into a manufacturing setup and create whatever best possible, maybe a 200 mm GSM sheets with small optimization in engineering.
Happy to share this message with all of you on this very important day of July 29th, which is the International Day for Tiger Conservation. And on this day, we have received close to 100 face shields from NITK's Center for System Design. It is pertinent and very important to us and the civil society organizations to come forward and support these frontline warriors. To that effect, NITK, with the support and contributions from ONGC, OMPL and ONGC OMPL's Officers Association, they have contributed immensely, and we from Kudremukha Wildlife Division are immensely grateful for this contribution from them.
Yeah, so if you see, this was one of the product that you can see over here. So it has 3D printed parts, it has elastic bands. So we optimize so that these sheets can be removed and it can be reinserted, and of course many revisions was been done so that it can be used. Of course, you know, Mangalore is will be burning during the COVID time, and it should not be too much of suffocation when we are trying to use it. Even wearing masks becomes supposed to be very difficult. So we tried the best with possible with the limiting resources that it was there during the COVID time, and students, our staffs who are sitting remote right from Delhi and somewhere localites were not able to come because of the strict lockdown access. We are remotely accessing the files, optimizing it, and giving the output. So I'll just showcase the two printers that was donated during COVID by Stratasys company, and Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, the MD of Stratasys, was kind enough to give to our Center for System Design, coordinated with the alumni of NITK, Mr. Rudramuni, Niranjan, and of course our Professor Gangadharan of Center for System Design. Stephen and you can share the screen. Yeah, please share the screen, and you will showcase how an regular Stratasys-based 3D printers can be used and what was used to create such kind of products. Basically, these kind of products wherein which is high, wherein which we will be able to use it for biosafe materials also. Yeah, you can share and speak up and ask whose screen should be pinned.
Is my voice audible?
Yeah, Stephen, yes.
Yes. So now we have, you can see the videos, right?
You need to need to tell which, yeah. You need to tell whose screen to be pinned. Yeah.
So this is the part which we are printing. This is the e-bike part, which are currently making in CSD. So this part, we are printing this part in the Stratasys Uprint SC, which is a ABS based printer, where the ABS material is fed to make a part. So the dimension, the bed size of this printer is 8 by 6 by 6 inches. So this uses ABS material, that is acrylonitrile betadine styrene material to print. So you can pin my video. So this is the part which you are printing. So this is the software interface. Software we are using for the printer is a Catalyst EX. So here we have to import the part and set some parameters like layer resolution, what is the layer height, and the interior density, and number of copies, and the STL unit. We are importing STL as a format. So this is how it is.
The most important thing of this printer is basically it has a soluble support. So you need to put it into a tank wherein which the support material gets dissolved, and you will get a very good finish. That is why we were able to use this printer effectively for, especially for the materials that which needs a smooth finish, so that you will not have any rough cuts on your face. Whereas if you're trying to use a regular FDM printer, wherein which the support material and the building material is the same, sometimes finish might be a problem. Steven, you can pin it and show to the FDM printers. Yeah. So this is another printer which is a simple basic MakerBot printer. Of course, this was initially in open source. Now it's an proprietary, and the Stratasys has taken over MakerBot products. So you can see in this MakerBot you have an a web camera live feed also. So you will be able to see what that device is seeing. Steven, if you can share the screen. Yeah, you can see the live 3D printing that is happening, and you can see the top view. You can pin the Steven Lloyd Sequeira's webcam feed, a mobile cam feed. So wherein which you will be able to see what printing is going on. Of course, this kind of detailed thing will be taught you in different things. But I am trying to showcase. Finally, this one of the product that has been done will showcase live in one of the product that is built by students, and how it is being used. So we will go back to the topic, and we'll get on to moving. So here, basically the OMPL and ONGC was very helpful. So you can see over here, there was not only the 3D printing thing, but you can see this slide wherein which it is 3D printing. You have the laser cutting, as well as you have this mixture of all these methods joined together to get one of the results. So this is a small clip which showcases you how that product was done, and how we were able to.
This is an excellent initiative done by
It was OMPL.
NITK.
They were kind enough to donate the material cost.
Professor Gangadhar came here and explained CSD initiative to combat spread of COVID-19 virus, an innovative shield manufactured, and it is shown how it can be utilized to avoid the transmission of the virus, and we have seen the practical demonstration and it really helped. The idea has been carried forward. We discussed with ONGC and ONGC was kind enough to accept our idea, and they came forward to help NITK and OMPL. So
No,
three
this is our laser
companies
cutting
joined
machines.
hand, and together we have been successful in preparing this face shield in mass scale and distributed it to the COVID warriors like our ASHA workers, police persons, doctors, nurses, and even it has been distributed to our forest guards who are in the border of Dakshin Kannada. So it is a nice initiative done by NITK. Thank you.
So that was the work that we had done and performed during the COVID time, and literally we made the machines to run day and out. Basically, the 3D printing facility and laser cutting machines was kept on for 22 hours per day. So the last shift was around 11:30. We used to give a print model, and 5:30 a.m. the job used to complete. Hardly 2.5 hours was the rush time that it got, and we were able to outreach things. Now, so that was come to 3D printing and other things. So how we can get into something like this, wherein which it's not only 3D printing. Suppose if I want to burn, if I want to etch, how can I use it? So this is a typical example of our laser cutting machines, which can be used in combination with 3D printing for digital manufacturing technique. So Sir M. Vishwesharaya, wherein which we celebrate our Engineers Day. So as a compliment, we just did an etching onto it, and a small memento that can be given for any visitors who comes to our lab on an Engineers Day. So we'll just showcase the live machine. So basically it was an 40 watt laser cutting machine with CO2 based laser machine. We enhanced into 80 watt by cut opening after the age of the laser tube was over, and this was how the final product is. We'll just share the screen of the live feed of that machine, wherein which is 2 axis. Please pin Stephen Lloyd's screen. Is it visible? Can I get the feedback?
Yes, sir.
Can you pin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Stephen, you can activate the thing. So it's an interesting small etching part. It is going on. So if you can see it and tell us what is that part, it will be highly appreciated. So this was an event organized by Canara College as a part of a development program, faculty development program. I hope we were coming to the fag end of this session. So I hardly had 10 minutes. We are trying. We have taken all over through the videos, production devices, machines running in the lab with in and us, and we are trying to print it. So it is running at a etching. It is basically it's not doing the cut. It is doing the etching. So the speed is faster, so that it does not cut to the MDF. So there's a blue color wherein which the air is being pumped. So the flames that comes during burning is pushed. Below there's an honeycomb structure. It's very important. Why? Because there'll be a blower which will be sucking the air, the fumes that is being burnt and slowly going onto it. So this laser cutting device, we have created many robots, and especially using acrylic, MDF, particle boards, and of course to some extent some paper sheets, cardboard sheets basically, wherein which students can create their own DIY projects or robotics for the competitions. Also some of the parts of the drones or UAVs that can be built. Yeah, it is coming to the fag end of the print. So once it is done, it is you can see it's powering up with an higher watt, and the speed is going slow so that it can cut the wood. So this was done especially for this particular event. So I hope people can recognize it. What is that?
Logo of Canara Engineering College.
Yeah, so it's a logo of Canara Engineering College. So that was a small compliment from my team directly going on to live and demonstrating this particular product. So we'll go back to our presentation so that we'll finish the things on time. Yeah. So when during COVID time, how shall we give an virtual reality into the group, and how we will be able to integrate 3D techniques onto it, and we students to be able to do. So what we did was last semester during peak lockdown time, I was told to take around 8 labs, and taking 8 labs for the students was Hercules task. They may not be knowing how big the setup is, how they were able to do. Not that everybody has an Oculus Rift or a virtual reality kit or something like that. So what to do that, we integrated 2 techniques. So let me showcase this particular screen over here. So if you see over here, we are trying to create an So you can see over here, we have created an virtual reality thing so that students can access onto this particular lab, and from there they will be able to know how big the setup is, and from there they'll be able to perform particular experimental setup to know all those things. So of course, here they can access in their mobile, they can access onto the laptop, all those things. But how can we give even better feel for them? And how can we give that virtual reality feel onto it? So for that, what we made was, as I said, not everybody has an as an Oculus Rift or a virtual reality kit. You can pin my webcam feed. So you can see over here, we have a laser cut cardboard box wherein which you can place your mobile onto this device and actually use this virtual reality setup onto here and put onto the. So if you see, basically this device comes like this, and then you can rotate all around and then see how the lab is. Students will be able to access the lab and then get a feel onto it. So I hope this product is visible to you. A simple cardboard box, a stencil was given, and it's not necessary that they should have laser cutting facility. They can cut it by using cardboard sheets and then try to get this product. Also, because they need this too small lens, some of that can be created by using waste thick plastic sheets or something like that. And of course, if not laser cutting, how we can do is basically was a 3D printing facility. So if you see the setup over here, basically you have a 3D printed part. So you can see, you can place the mobile camera over here and then insert over here, and then of course wear it once again in the same feel. Of course, Oculus Rift would have been much better feel for this work, but of course students can also build on their own, and templates was given to them, and that is how the lab was being explained to them and they had seen. So I'll just go back to how and fluid machinery lab was. I'm sharing the screen, so they were able to go into the lab, go in details, see where they were supposed to sit into the lab, and from there maybe go over here and access all this lab in the completely 360 degree and create their own virtual reality kit by using smartphone. Most of them had a smartphone, if not a laptop or a PC. For those, you have this HTML page for in which they don't have to pay, and it's accessible to all. Anyone in the world can access this. From there, they can go on to Lagopata, YouTube tutorials or simulations and perform this. So here, what was the 3D printing thing? Either use an laser cutting device or maybe a 3D printing facility to create into an virtual reality. So now coming to the last slide before we end, we have 5 minutes to go, and how this 3D printing facility can help us to give the that is concept to reality. So this is one of the examples, the concept of e-cycles, which is slowly being manufactured by NITK Center for System Design. 200 e-scooters, e-bikes, and small mini scooters will be fabricated at a Center for System Design and being given to the students once they are back, funded by the NITK alumni. So we will go to a live feed over here. Any one of our staff, Rakshit, if you can come in front of this camera. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see this is the e-scooter. You can see the parts. Can pin my webcam feed. Yeah. So you can see this entire portion that is there was 3D printed by using HP 3D printing facility. So it's a pin you can unpin and it goes over there, and then it gets locked, and then that can be used for docking. So this is the inert thing, and of course this will be converted into SRM motor. So we'll do that in the later part. And you can see the handle also. Slowly I'll get it down. Yeah. So this handle is completely 3D printed and being incubated along with the integrated along with the metal portions. So this was done in-house by the group of students. The innovative thing of here is it's integrated with something called as IRIS. If you are done PhD at NITK, those provisions was there. It's called Students Online Managements, and you can scan that and get information and activate the cycles to move. So it has integrated GPS, brake lights, portions, the mud guards, all those portions was 3D printed. Rakshit, can you take a small ride? Yeah, I hope we'll try to showcase. Yeah. Yeah. So he is going there. So that was a completely 3D printed and a metal fabrication. You can just come back. Someone can open the door so that he can go out. You can see how that integration of lights and other things have been integrated. Yeah, he has switched on the light. He is trying to move forward, and done. So now that was a small part. So we'll move on to the final end slide, wherein which and multi-rotor kind of thing can be demonstrated. Ready? Adon part kodi. Yeah. Thanks. So you can see over here. This is an integration of 3D printing and 3D printing. You can see the legs, carbon fibers, and other things to generate an 3D processing UAVs for your analysis, or maybe photogrammetry and other things. So one of our intern, Manish, will do a demo. So you can see a small indoor drone. I hope, yeah, indoor drone. You can see a carbon fiber cage that is there, and it is been connected by a 3D printed portions. So you can see there, he will try to take off. So it has taken off, and it has been protected all around by a cage. Hope it is visible to you. Yeah, he's landing back. Yeah, can you get the drone? Yeah, yeah. So this is the drone that is, we can see the 3D printed parts that are there very next to it, and the controller has been covered by another caged by an part. So you can see different 3D printers that have been used so to integrate the carbon fiber rods as well as aluminum tubes to create such kind of indoor drones that can be used for classes and other things. Thank you, Manish. So with this, I come to end. It is 3:30. So my schedule was given up to that. So I come to end of my talk. Any clarification? My entire team is there. You can ask.
There are many appreciations for your presentation and efforts. People are telling, nice session, sir. Okay, any questions from the audience part? Audience, any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. I'm Vinod Kumar. Am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for the wonderful section. Actually, we didn't feel like it was online. We felt it was like offline, like we were visiting your campus. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the session. One question that I have is regarding the 3D printer facility that you have at NITK. If our students get some models, can that be 3D printed there, sir? With if it is possible, how?
Yeah, basically, usually for student projects, if they are able to give the material cost, so we can work out, and some nominal charges will be there because as per institute norms. Of course, it's not like a regular consultancy. For students projects, there's a different way in which we operate, so that the running cost of that setup can be done. And of course, HP based 3D printer, that is powder selective, there are some high-end based 3D printer that may be very expensive, which may not be given for the students project. But other FDM based 3D printers definitely will be spared. Many students of neighboring colleges are coming, utilizing it, especially for their competitions and other things.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Sir, you can see some questions have been posted. So one question is from Sharad PC. Can we have a high strength steel material for fabrication instead of light materials?
Yeah, it's possible, but you should have a metal 3D printer. So that facility, as of now, it is not under my. So it is there in Central Research. It is going to come in Central Research Facility. So it is possible. There are metal 3D printers also. So we have showcased what was done by our group. So that is how metal 3D printer was skipped in it.
Yes, sir. So there are quite a number of appreciation for your work during the pandemic time and supporting valuably for the society. And many are telling that it is a very informative sessions. So any more questions?
Yeah, you can use your mobile to create the data sets also. You can take multiple images, you can take videos. From videos also you can create an 3D point cloud from the, but what happens is images will always give an higher data sets because it's a key image analysis. So from video also we can make, but it may lose some of the data set. Maybe a small bottle or something like that you need to scan. So definitely that mobile videos will be useful to do it. There are a lot of open source which can help and getting it. So this was some of the small MIR data set that was there to recreate this portion. So this basically is used to train the doctors, like to do the scanning, how they have to place the body. And there's one thing, because material selection is very important. Not all materials, because they should not be reflected. See, because something like that, when you do an MR scanning, you should know like what is bone, what is flesh, and all those things. So for that also, the same feel if you want, then those 3D printing facilities, 3D printing material also should replicate the same human body tendency. Most of the materials now, carbon fiber and other things, many materials are available. Maybe some other lecture topics which are there, which are technical in more technical thing, will be used. Multiple image softwares are available. Sometimes we use the softwares which are being provided by the own printers. Maybe HP has their own 3D printing. Stratasys has their own CAD modeling softwares, meshing software, slicing softwares. MakerBot its own make 3D. And third parties are like for photogrammetry, you have Pix4D, Drone Deploy, or for if you are using an 3D, you can use Magix and get the data set. And for Faro, you have the point to cloud data sets.
Any more questions? No?
Yeah, before I wind up, actually, I need to thank my entire staff group, because so that you try to feel the live. So Steven, Rakshit, Ranjan, Vishwas, and 2 interns who are there. And of course, we have 30 project staffs who are running behind this entire CST in one or the other process, because they would have not come live today in showcasing the demo, but definitely they are there in making this session. And today, if you see all the slides, other than the building image, all those images are what my staffs have done, what our research scholars have done and given back to it, including the editing, video editing.
KP sir, Krishna Prabhu sir, would you like to?
Yes, fine.
Prithviraj sir, there one Madam Shabana, Madam has raised her hand. I don't know for what purpose. Madam, can you unmute and ask a question?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Actually, I just want to compliment Dr. Prithviraj for the excellent work he is doing, and I really like the way in which the students and the scholars are doing a great job under his supervision and his colleagues' supervision. So I just want to congratulate him, and thank you so much for providing me the opportunity to listen to him. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Shabana madam. Thank you, Prithviraj sir. Firstly, I would like to thank NITK and all the NITK staff, Gangadharan sir, and the virtual lab setup. And I would like to thank you especially for giving us time for, and that too on the afternoon session, and not making us bore with during this afternoon time. And for your team, that is Mr. Steven, Ranjan, Vishwas, Rakshit, Manish, and your entire staff, and making ourselves really feel that we are present next to you itself only, and seeing all the products and whatever effort you have put, and the plus work what you have done for society, all those things, it's commendable and appreciable from our side. And the token of gratitude of the logo of camera, whatever you have shown, we are really very thankful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone? Like to, sir, anything?
Prithviraj sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
From Canara Engineering College.
Thank you,
especially the afternoon sessions, they are very difficult to manage. And your work, you could able to hold these many faculty for your session. That itself means how much you have worked on this particular subject. I am been with the, I'm associated with the you people from quite long time, and really very happy the way that you have taken and achieved your dreams, and definitely it is a great setup that you have made over there, not only for NITK Surathkal, and even our students, CEC students are benefited because of you. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So all the participants, so we are going to post one feedback and attendance on this chat window. So please do fill that, then leave the meeting hall. So,
So I'll be able, I
yes.
can exit, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes,
okay,
sir.
fine. Thank you. Thank you.
So, just a minute, I will be sharing the.
Good evening, everyone. So we are here closing the day 1 sessions. So day 2 session will start at exactly 9:30. The link will remain same, and we expect you people to log in by 9:25 a.m. so that we can start the session in time and end the sessions in time. Okay, so there will not be any inconvenience to the speakers also, as well as the participant also. So what we request is, whenever we are posting the attendance link, please fill it in time. Okay, so don't take too much of time, maybe evening 6 or 7 o'clock and all. So better if you fill in time so that we can track the things and we can update the links. From tomorrow onwards, we will update the attendance link in the chat box itself at the end of the session. So each session we'll post it in the chat box, so you can access and you can fill it at that time itself. So thank you everyone for attending the day 1 session. The link is in the chat box, so you can refer that one, fill it. So if not able to log in through the mobile, please use the laptop and log in. And just a few things we are requesting. Okay, so you can just fill it up. So you may feel a bit bored while typing your name and all again and again. So please excuse us. So it's a formality. So we need to follow that one. Yeah, and one more thing to remind you people is you need to get a 80% of attendance. 80% of attendance, and stick to the things what we are going to discuss in the sessions. So there will be an exam at the end of the 5th day. Okay, so which you need to get at least a minimum of 60% marks. Okay, in order to get the certificate. And please note the certificate is not provided by us, so it is provided by AICTE. So once you are going to ensure that you are going to get a 80% attendance and 60% of the marks, percentage of marks, so then only you will be able to get your certificate. Okay, so there is no intervention of Canara Engineering College in giving or accepting whatever the things you are doing. Okay, so it's also responsibility of AICTE in order to provide the certificate. Okay, so thank you.